fill in the blank, single blank. She maintained that her mother's illness was the reason for the dash of her health. See, also remember, these questions either could be a part of the daily test, or it could be your own practice and you came across this question and you have a doubt, right? So just keep applying the strategies that we are already familiar with when it comes to fill in the blanks, right? Let's quickly look at it. And that's what this person's question also is. Sachindra is like, why can't it be option 2? Answer can be for, option 2 fall. Can it be that is what his question is, right? Now, can somebody quickly, in order for you to decide a particular option, there should be something in the context which has helped you, right? So what is the clue? She maintained that her mother's illness was the reason for the dash of her health. So can you identify some clue words which can help us decide, hey, this option has to be the answer? What are those clue words? Can anybody identify clue words? Illness, okay? Health, right? So these two are your clue words. So now that we're talking about health and illness related things, let's look at the option fall, right? When you use the word fall, what are the meanings that come to you? Let's look at some common examples that we're familiar with. Leaves fall, right? Which means to drop, or they come down freely, right? That's one meaning, right? You and I can trip and fall. We can fall suddenly, like the example that we saw last question, right? So when somebody got punched, he fell down. That's another fall that we are familiar with. So that's one fall. Can trip and fall down, right? That's one fall we are familiar with. Or you can even say, yeah, lower level, correct. So tides, the tide can fall, yeah, tide fell. Or you could even say something that declines in some value, financial value usually, right? So you can say, hey, okay, the sales fell last year, or the stocks fell. The stocks fell last year, the stocks fell. Meaning there is a decline in the financial value. Yeah, anything to do with financial value, you use fall, right? Or you could even use this word fall in other scenarios, like, if you go into a particular state, like you're mesmerized, like let's say you fall in love, yeah, or somebody became very silent, fell silent. So all of these contexts you can say, yeah, prices have fallen, all of that, right? But when do you use the word deteriorate? When do you use this word, deteriorate? Think of options. When will I use deteriorate? What and all I will use that word for? Weather, I can use it for weather. I can use it for property, right? The value of that has deteriorated, come down, right? So usually deteriorate means to diminish, or to grow worse, or to weaken, right? Food can deteriorate. What you're trying to say is it'll get spoiled, it'll decay, it'll rot, right? Work situation can deteriorate, it can become worse, right? That's one thing we saw, to grow worse. Health condition, right? So these are the things that you will use the word deteriorate with. So in the context, obviously we are talking about health. So she maintained that her mother's illness was the reason for the deterioration of her health, not the fall of her health, right? It's an incorrect combination or collocation. You don't use fall with health. You don't say my health fell. My health deteriorated is the right collocation or the right combination. So words like, you also need to be familiar with action words that can be used in certain situations. If I'm referring to health, I will use deteriorate. I will not use fall, which is the wrong verb, which is a wrong action word. Okay? So I'm sure this clears your doubt in terms of fall or deteriorate, and the given answer for this question is option 3. You don't restrict it. It's not whether you use it formal or informal. In these situations, this is the right word to use, right? Yeah, it is. There are less generic words that you can use. Deteriorated is a formal word only, right? When we are talking conversationally, we don't say, hey, the weather deteriorated. We just say, hey, the weather got bad. We have bad weather, or it's gotten worse, right? Which is fine conversationally. But still, in any given context, we are not talking about whether deteriorate and fall is used in formal or informal context. We are saying, given this context, which is the right word that will fit the blank. Okay, let's move. Let's look at, this is also a single blank, so let's quickly look at it. It dash been estimated that there may be many millions of species of plants, insects and microorganisms still undiscovered in tropical rainforests, and the options are have, will, should, has and shall. Okay, now this shouldn't be a very difficult one, right? Some of you are saying 4, some of you are saying 3, some of you are saying 1. It dash been estimated that there may be many millions of species, insects and micro. So the only question that you need to ask is, in the context, how many aspects are being discussed? What is being estimated here in the context? Do I have more than one component in the context, right? So there is no, and obviously you know what estimated is, right? It's a rough calculation. You're coming up with something that is likely to be the reason for something. So because in the context we are referring only to one component, which is this, there may be this whole thing, right? Many millions of species of plants, insects and microorganisms still undiscovered, and so this is only one single entity we are talking about. So why do I need have, which is a plural verb, right? Are you following? So it has been makes more sense. It should be estimated. The form is incorrect, right? I have been here. It definitely cannot be 3. It's an incorrect grammatical construction. It will been again. You don't say will been. Incorrect. Should been. Incorrect. Right? So just by grammatical constructions you can quickly eliminate wrong answer options. It shall be again. You always have will be. So this is one thing, right? It's a very easy one. Will, shall, should be, not been. Right? All of these are, even if it is passive, it will be will have been. You'll have in between this. Should have been, shall have been, right? You won't have it without the have. Okay? So obviously our answer is it has been estimated that there. So we're talking about one single component. We need a singular verb, which is option 4. Okay? So there is no confusion in this. You don't have to be confused because none of the other given options will go with the word after the blank, right? It's just grammatical construction. This is an easy one. Okay, moving. Let's read. She said that her dash husband's wealth amounted to just over 1 billion rupees. Again, a single blank. If you look at the options, it's purely vocabulary, which means you have to know the meaning of these words. If not, don't waste time in this question, skip and move. If you don't know the meaning of any of the words in the given options, you may not end up selecting the right answer, right? You have generic, you have estranged, garbled and esoteric. So she said that her generic husband's wealth, option A, is illogical. What's the meaning of this word? Estranged means, anybody? Separated and living from one spouse. That's the meaning of estranged, right? Living apart. So you're living apart from your wife or husband. So you're alienated, you're separated basically. That's what it means, right? So she said that her estranged husband's wealth, they're no longer together, they're separated, but his wealth amounts to just over 1 billion rupees. Garbled again is an illogical word. Garbled means something that's very confusing, something that is, unclear, right? Jumbled. Again, not a related word at all given the context, right? See, if you're, let's say you're telling somebody something, right? But whatever you're saying is very garbled, which means it's not clear, it's very confusing, okay? Esoteric. Esoteric means something that can be understood only by a specific group of people, okay? So someone came back and said it's option 4. It cannot be option 4 because when you refer to something as esoteric, you're saying that only a small group of people can understand that. Those who are familiar in that field, right? In that particular interest. So if I say something that is, what can I say? Something very private, something not known to everybody, only a specific group of people having the same interest or knowledge can understand, right? That's what it means. Having the same interest or knowledge, right? So not a relevant word. The clue word is just the husband and wife, that's it. One of the clue words is this, husband's wealth. And there is no other option that will fit given the context. Generic, garbled, esoteric, none of the options are relevant to the context. That's it. So the only thing that we can closely associate is, okay, this person is saying, okay, you know what, why would you talk about that this is your husband's wealth, this much is what he is worth or he amounts to. When will that situation come? Only when at the time of a divorce, or you're separated, you're trying to equally distribute the property or whatever it is. That's when you get to know this information, right? So this is the only logical word. Okay.